Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Our world is at war. The man waging it is Vladimir Putin. He is the president of Russia. For the longest time, Putin kept the world guessing. Will there be war in Ukraine? Will there not be a war in Ukraine? Then one morning, he decided to shock the world. He invaded Ukraine and dared the world to stop him. If you interfere from outside, you will face consequences, he said. Consequences greater than any you have faced in history. Where does Putin get this nerve from? In 2008, he sent troops to Georgia. In 2014, he annexed Crimea. It's 2022, and Vladimir Putin has single-handedly put Europe in a spot. He has launched a multi-frontal attack on Ukraine. People are calling Putin the new Hitler, the Nazi dictator who wanted to unify Greater Germany. So he sent Nazi troops in the area between the Third Reich and the Sudetenland region in Czechoslovakia. It was home to many German-speaking communities, just like Donbass is home to many Russian-speaking communities. Putin, too, is following Hitler's playbook. He wants to unify his motherland, so he has sent tanks and troops to Ukraine. He has invaded a European country in the year 2022. Again, where does Putin get this nerve from? Putin's grandfather worked as a cook for Joseph Stalin, but that's actually irrelevant here. Experts believe Putin picked his dictatorial traits from a former boss. Putin was once the deputy mayor of St. Petersburg. His boss was the city's mayor. His name was Anatoly Sobchak. Putin admired him and is said to have subconsciously picked his traits. Today, Putin's authoritarianism is out in the open. Ukraine says parallels between Putin and Hitler are not a meme anymore. They are Ukraine's reality. You see, if we have to understand the war in Ukraine, we must first understand Vladimir Putin, the man who is pulling the strings of this war. What's in his mind? What has shaped his life? So where do we start? You would know that Vladimir Putin was once a KGB agent. KGB was a Soviet spy agency. When Putin was training for it in 1975, his trainers found out a flaw in the young man. They said Putin had a diminished sense of danger. In other words, what may seem dangerous to you and me may not seem dangerous to Vladimir Putin. He acknowledges this in his biography. He says back in his KGB days, a negative trait often ascribed to him was his lowered sense of danger. The spy agency considered this a very serious flaw. Well, they were not wrong. Look at what's happening now. Putin's dangerous invasion in Ukraine. Which leader today would dare to send tanks into another country? Which leader would be unafraid of repercussions? Putin has been exhibiting this diminished sense of danger since his childhood. He was born in October 1952 in the Soviet city of Leningrad. His parents belonged to the working class. They lived in a Soviet-style apartment and shared the space with two other families. While most children picked up humble sports, Putin decided to pursue a martial art called Sambo. While most schoolboys dreamt of becoming a doctor or a fighter pilot or something glamorous, Putin dreamt of becoming a spy. He first set foot into the KGB headquarters when he was still in his teens. He graduated from the Leningrad State University in 1975 and went straight to join the KGB. He was posted in East Germany, where he mastered smokes and mirrors. Long before Ukraine, Crimea or Georgia, he wrote a campaign biography. It is based on one-on-one interviews. In one of these interviews, Putin recounts an incident from his university days. He says he was driving a car. His martial arts coach was with him. They were on a road outside Leningrad when Putin saw a farm truck passing them. He tried to grab a piece of hay through the car window. Next thing you know, he's nearly lost control of the car. The coach is scared and furious. He turns to Putin and says, "You take risks." Putin replies, "I thought the hay smelled good." Which person looking to lead a country would tell such a story to his voters? Like he's James Bond or something, chasing death casually and bragging about it. Which leader would project himself as impulsive? This book I'm talking about was published in the year 2000, the year Vladimir Putin became the president of Russia for the first time. Things had changed rapidly for him since the collapse of the Soviet Union. In 1991, Putin became the deputy mayor of St. Petersburg. In 1997, the deputy chief of the presidential staff. A year later, the head of the FSB, the new spy agency, the successor of the KGB. Putin was heading it. In 1999, he became one of Russia's first deputy prime ministers, then prime minister, and then president. His career soared as Russia's reputation tanked. Boris Yeltsin, Russia's first president, was corrupt, drunk, and a laughingstock. Plus, Yeltsin was too close to the West for Putin's taste. You see, while the Cold War was over, its legacy remained, and Putin, a former Soviet spy, could never really get himself to trust the West. He could not ignore the fact that the NATO was growing, that all of these countries had become a part of this alliance. Even back in 1999, Putin feared that NATO would expand, go on to include ex-Soviet republics, and ultimately surround Russia. He was frustrated that Yeltsin was not doing enough to contain the NATO. Putin dreamt of a Russian state, one that would be independent, influential, and feared. Chechnya gave him the opportunity to build that dream state. The region had broken away from Russia, and Chechen rebels had become a nuisance. In 1999, a series of blasts rocked Russia. More than 300 people were killed across several Russian cities. Putin was the prime minister. He began naming, shaming, and blaming Chechens on live television. He started holding regular press briefings. He would whip up nationalistic emotions, call Chechens mad dogs. Putin vowed to avenge the blasts. Soon his approval rating soared from 2% before the bombings to 45% after them. Reports then emerged that Putin may have faked these bombings, that KGB agents could have planted the bombs. Why would they do that? To help Putin's popularity. Russia, of course, quashed this theory and went to war with Chechnya. At least 80,000 people were killed, and Chechnya was brought back to Russia. Instead of gloating, Yeltsin suddenly resigned. He named Vladimir Putin the country's acting president. It was New Year's Eve, 31st of December 1999. Putin was married to a former flight attendant. She had no idea her husband was becoming the president of Russia. Putin had known about this for days, but he never told his wife. He did not tell her he would be the next president. That's how secretive Vladimir Putin can be. Reports say the Russian parliament had no clue about his plans of invading Ukraine either. Yes, he asked for permission to send troops to foreign lands, but the lawmakers never thought he would actually attack Ukraine. In fact, Putin never even needed that permission. He is the commander-in-chief of the Russian armed forces. He can send troops wherever he likes. So going to the parliament was a stunt. And Putin likes stunts. He once dived deep into the Black Sea, came up with 2 ancient Greek urns. Putin said he fetched the relics from the floor of the Black Sea. It was later revealed the show was staged. We have seen Putin fishing, arm wrestling, posing bare-chested, riding a horse, a Harley-Davidson, showing off his butterfly skills in water, co-piloting a jet, attaching a satellite transmitter to a tiger, hunting. It seems Putin can survive the wild better than Bear Grylls. Putin is talented. He's tough. He is also the controller of facts and the teller of his own story. Just like his story of Ukraine, one where Russia is the victim, the people of Donbass are victims, and a democratically elected government in Kiev is full of Nazis. So Putin has decided to send troops on a denazification mission. Buildings have been flattened, innocent civilians have been killed. Why? Because the Russian president thinks Ukraine and Russia are one, and he does not let anything come between him and his motherland, even if that means keeping secrets from his wife or not attending to his daughter. That's another story. It is said that when Putin was the mayor of St. Petersburg, his daughter met with an accident. She was injured. He was at work. So he sent his deputy to attend to the little girl. That's Vladimir Putin for you. He once refused to read a book by a Soviet defector. He said he did not read books by people who had betrayed the motherland. If you are looking to interpret the current war in Ukraine, try reading it from Putin's point of view. If you want to know what will happen next, try gauging it through Putin's eyes. He's a boy from a working-class family who climbed his way to the Kremlin and became the face of Moscow. He has the backing of powerful KGB officers. He has Russia's Richie Rich on his side. He has been in power for 22 years now. He has dragged Russia into many wars, meddled in the affairs of his neighbors, be it Belarus or Azerbaijan. He has locked up oligarchs who did not align with him, silenced critics who challenged him. Putin has poisoned Russians abroad. He has cracked down on the LGBTQ community at home, tamed the media, and recently arrested those protesting the war in Ukraine. And Ukraine may just be the start. A 2020 vote made Vladimir Putin Russia's president for life. In the last 14 years, he has gone to war thrice. He will remain in power until 2036. That's 14 more years and 13 more Soviet republics to go.